Thanks for tapping in. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for videos like this.
Barulho é esse? Barulho. Oxi. O céu! Que é isso, velho?
The fact that covers the N-word.
With the extra feather in her mouth.
Example, what happened if you drop inside this water? That's what happened if you jump inside this water. Jump inside the water then.
They stay off the land, I stay off the water. It's a win-win for everybody.
This is literally shining in my bedroom window. Am I the only one that see this? Yo, am I the only one that see this? I just finished praying and I look out my window and this is what I see. I've never seen it like this before. This is nutty. Y'all look at that. This is great. Do y'all see what I see?
Oh God, bro. 15 shots of espresso.
Okay, use your Miranda rights, right? Sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. Sure. I have the right to contact your employee. Okay? If you cannot afford the content, the government will be provided for you at any government expense. You understand that?
Yes. My question is,
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
You said you got kicked out of the DMT space.
Right. I ventured in this space hundreds and hundreds of times, right? And I popped into a space where there was an entity. And this entity was startled by me popping into its space, right? And so in a second that happens, usually what happens with these entities, you have this non-verbal bridge, like sort of like I can read your thought, you can read mine. We are connected immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And so I popped in and I know I startled this creature because it got annoyed with me. So the description that I can give is that the feeling of annoyance, like what are you doing here? What, you know? And in a second that happened, because I knew that this creature was annoyed, the creature also realized that I know. And it almost felt like it corrected itself. Oh, okay, so we have a bridge. So I hear your thoughts, so you have to behave. There was that kind of an exchange, right?
Right.
Now, so the first was a startling, you know, and the second was like, oh, okay, so we are connected. I can hear your thoughts, sort of. You can hear mine. So there's a bridge, and this creature was, again, it's nonverbal, so you just know this. This was the question. If I paraphrase of like, okay, well, you hear what you want to know.
What did it look like?
Almost like the drawings that we see. This creature was tall, and a long face. So it's wearing some kind of a robe. And the question was, okay, so what you want to know? Why are you here? What you want to know? And in my mind, I played the game immediately. Then it was really quick that I played that like, well, I can ask all these questions and the answer actually doesn't matter. That was the strangest thing. Like I came to a conclusion, like, ask what? And what difference it makes. If I know or I don't know, doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, I'm just passing through. I don't really have a question. And this thing got annoyed with me to the point like, boom, I was out. The experience stopped completely. The vision stops. I was out. I was sitting in my little meditation chair that I sit. And after that, for months, I could not get back in at all, no matter what I would do. So I was just kicked out.
Watch the terrifying moment a driver plunged a staggering 40-foot head-first off an unfinished bridge after following Google Maps on his phone. CCTV footage shows the BMW flying over the bridge, slamming bumper first onto the pavement and nearly flipping into oncoming cars. The shocking crash happened in Indonesia when a 61-year-old man took the wrong turn while following Google Maps and flew through a gap in the concrete barriers. Medics arrived at the scene and both the driver and his passenger miraculously survived the crash. The driver told reporters, "The road suddenly became dark and there were no other cars. Then I realized there was a problem when the car started falling and crashed on the ground. My friend said she's not getting in the car with me again."
And you are on the fastest route.
What's going on, man? You got no rear lights.
I didn't make this. China made it. I would buy American. I have a Harley in my living room and a truck in my yard. Get it right, my friend. Why are you bothering me?
I've got no lights and I almost hit you.
Well, then you better learn how to drive properly, shouldn't you?
What I need you to do is step off the bicycle.
I don't have a kickstand because it's a Chinese piece of can't even make a kickstand properly. I'm a proper man and I've been robbed of everything and I am not a happy man.
You're under the influence of alcohol, riding a bicycle with no light on the back.
I am under the influence of bullshit of this world.
How much have you had to drink?
Not enough.
Not enough?
Hell no. I'll show you how my ACL is gone. It's been missing since 91. I have worked for the richest of the rich, the best of the best, and I'm going to get hassled for a tail light in America?
And Uncle speaks like a wizard.
You want to hear a cryptid story? I would love to hear a cryptid story. The more research I do, the more identical they are. So again, we have two hunters who are out in South Carolina. These are avid woodsmen. They're camping, they're sitting at the fire, and as they're winding down, they begin to hear what sounds like drumming. Something's like with force hitting something. They start to get up, and before they see anything, like every other story, they smell something. Just Bigfoot. It's like swamp and rotting flesh. They use the descriptor copper, kind of like a blood-like copper-like smell. They put a flashlight up and immediately glowing eyes, tall humanoid creature, long arms to the ground, and they freeze in fear. And the thing like postures up, dude pulls his gun, fires a shot, hits it, and it lets out the loudest roar they've ever heard. After getting hit, it doesn't stop. It keeps running at them, and they get in the truck, and the proof that they have is the tailgate of this truck has claw marks through the back of it, but instead of just being like punched, it looks like tinfoil that's been peeled back. Oh my gosh. But this thing with glowing red eyes and the brake lights chased them for a quarter mile before giving up the pursuit. A quarter mile, this thing's roaring and running them down a hill. They've never gone back to the woods. This was in 1987. They've never been back.
I mean, that's like the Mothman, just like it chasing them for miles.
In that region of South Carolina, there's like legends of a lizard man, and it fits exactly with other stories where people have reported similar things. It's terrifying, dude.
Cave systems in the mountains. I guarantee that's where they're all coming from, man.
This is why, guys, I don't like Sam jump.
See if Jesus can strike a lightning right in the middle of that field, because it's already struck and they say lightning never strikes twice. So I'm going to see if Jesus Christ or God, or I know they're in three, but whoever controls that, can make lightning strike right there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No way! No way! I just got that on camera.
Dude, Rogan just sat down and he's tweaking. He can't even catch his breath. Look at this.
Oh, he's back, you know.
Dude, he's chimping. Look at him.
Illegal. So uncool. Right.
Oh, he's high out of his mind.
We're so happy to have you here.
Really cool.
He's tweaking.
Bro ate some caps and he's flying high.
They said telepathy is just the tip of the iceberg. It goes way deeper. I've been really getting back into the telepathy tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's blowing my absolute mind.
Tell me about it.
There's this one boy, Houston. His story is just insane. Like, grew up severely autistic, non-speaking, non-verbal, and she just grew up thinking that he was basically just almost like a vegetable. She like came home one day, her son walked downstairs, looked her straight in the eyes, which she said never made eye contact ever, and said, "I love you."
Verbally.
And
Oh
she's
my
never
goodness.
spoken in his life. Through that was the beginning, figuring out that he could read people's minds. He could see what they were thinking. It starts with him talking about this place. He says that he goes to this place with other kids, other people that have this ability of telepathy. They call it the hill. And he says, we meet there, we teach each other things, we pray for each other. And it's like this community of kids that have this ability. They go to the hill. It's not like a physical place. It's like not dimensional. It's like a place where their consciousness goes. And they said, but it's like in the shape of a hill. But it's like not dimensional, but...
Do you want me to tell you how to channel? We're all spirit in a body. We're all having a human experience. And all you have to do is focus on the now. You don't exist in the future. That's called anxiety. You don't exist in the past. That's called depression. You only exist here. So let's practice on being in the now. You ready? Okay, so just sit and then just focus on like what the table feels like. So everything kind of zooms in and it gets very quiet. And then you start to pick up on everything else. And then you realize when you get quiet, the world gets loud. That's now kind of like the first step of channeling. You have to start simple, otherwise you're going to mess yourself up. So you have to sit in the same room, with the same smell. I would even say turn off the music, and then you have to just sit there, be in that now, and what your space feels like. Then the second thing is you have to start learning about different energies and how different places feel. Take that moment like that sitting there in quiet, go to a grocery store, stand there, be the weirdo in the corner by the celery, but you'll be able to feel it's different than your room at home. Once you learn your space, if you want to learn to channel for other people, you have to go and channel and feel people that you are not close to. So then where do spirits come in with all this? Every person normally has between 1 to 3 spirits hanging out with them, but then they have to want to connect with you. Because remember, you are a spirit in a body, and we're not being egotistical. We're saying, I love you. Do you want to come in and pop in my brain and play with it? And they have to be able to not only learn how to do that, they have to have the energy to do that. And then you have to learn how to tune like a radio station to what frequency they're on.
Give it a try, fam. This is one of the hidden keys.
So I asked him to please move the bread and stuff before he sweep, and guess what he's doing? He's still sweeping and the bread is out. So now that he's sweeping, the dust and dirt is right there and the bread is not covered, it's out. And he's the manager. That's crazy. He said he knows his job too. When I told him, he knows how to do his job. That was his response.
I do have a couple of other very specific predictions that I picked up on when I was remote viewing Trump and his next 4 years. I actually saw that there is going to be an attempted follow-up assassination, and I saw that it wasn't going to work. It could potentially happen right after inauguration. I did see a stock market crash, and then I also saw AI to change every industry in the way that it's actually going to empower the individual. And then I also saw destabilization of global relations. Specifically, there's going to be a change in access to goods. There was also going to be a focus on eradicating chemicals from food and water and air, which I think less Trump, more RFK. Yeah. A huge power shift as well going to happen in the next 4 years. The individuals who have had power, the deep state, the shadow government, they're going to be losing power. They already are, but it's going to happen rapidly, which is exciting, but also a bit scary because what are they going to do if they're backed into a corner? And then, like we mentioned before, more crimes against humanity being exposed, especially a focus on trafficking, which I think we can all be happy about. I saw Trump having a heart attack in the 3rd year of his term. It looked like it was a totally natural heart attack. Now, we have to understand, too, that timelines can and do change all the time.
So that's just assuming nothing changes it.
Yeah, exactly. There's also going to be massive cosmic disclosure as well in the next 4 years. We're already seeing it happen, but it's going to continue exponentially.
Divination or remote viewing? Fly mode activated.
Did you know that everything they told you was wrong? They told you the body need food 3 times a day. But did you know that that ain't what it need? Do you know that ain't what it need? That's gonna make it too heavy to carry. And it's gonna make you sick. It's gonna put a parasite in your body. Do you know when you hungry, you go growling, it's a parasite? Your stomach not growling because it's hungry. It wants more of that poison. Yeah, food was the first drug.
Facts.
A lot of people don't know. You got some food?
So, what do you say about like...
That's the same thing Dr. Sebi said.
The abductors are not aliens from another world, but they're us.
That makes the most sense to me.
From another time. They're us from our own future. These are humans coming back because we gave our humanness away to technology. They're the product of the loss of their humanness. They're warning us not to do it, and they're also want it back. And they're thinking
that would explain the extraction of eggs and sperm.
Exactly, egg, sperm, and DNA. They're thinking they can at least merge some of this back into their existence. There's something about us that's worth preserving. There's something about us, and that this isn't going to go on for decades. We're at this, this is within the next year, 2 years, 3 years, certainly 5 years between now and 2030. If we give our humanness away, we can never go back. Because we're at a point in our evolution that they were in their evolution a long time ago, where they had to choose between biology and technology. They chose technology. They lost the ability for emotion. They lost the ability to conceive internally, sexually. It's all asexual.
Bit of an unusual situation. Now, this first portion of the radar cycle, fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow, believe it or not. Military aircraft flying through the region, dropping chaff. Small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic, or even metallicized paper products, but it's used as an anti-radar issue, and obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is. 50 and...
Damn. And that's the truth.
Kara ifrit. Yani feşa değildi sanki.
And it's time to run or to sleep.
So I'm in the bathroom right now. I'm not going to the bathroom if you're wondering. But I'm hearing like shuffling sounds outside the door. And I need to put the camera. Bro, what the f was that? No. I swear to God, I heard like a woman talking in here. I swear to God, I heard a woman talking. What the fuck? Oh, no. No, I'm not doing that. Hello? Oh my God, what the f? What the f? Bro. Holy shit. No. I'm over at the restaurant right now that's connected to our hotel. The door's been wide open. And they said they've seen lights going on and off in here. The Zionic area. Very, very narrow stairs, and I just smashed my head on this freaking pipe. Hello? Oh my God. There's no one here. There's no one here. I'm Nope. Nope. Okay. Okay. I'm out. Okay. Just leave me alone.
You won't have to tell me twice.
How? Oh, yeah, it's real. It's real. The firmament real.
What we were also discussing is aliens and them already being
alien spirits.
Aliens and spirits.
Yeah, spirits. They like. A lot of people don't know this though, right? Let me tell you how it works, right? So the Earth is flat, right? And when you go to Antarctica, it's an ice wall, all right? And everybody go like up and they look for the other places. But if you want to find the Anunnakis and stuff, I know where they stay. So you got to go straight over the ice wall and you're going to pass a little island. And this island glow. They call it the island of Abraxas. But I'm going to tell you something you don't know about Abraxas, right? Because I got to tell people something. And then for the first time on Real Street Stars in America, I'm gonna tell everybody God's real name. Because you know the red moon came and now we at war with the fake God of Earth. We got to kill him. But I got God's real name for everybody they don't know. God's real name is Abraxas. So a lot of people know. So look at God's real names. They want to pray, they got to pray to Abraxas and Sophia, because Sophia God big. I mean, that's his wife, Sophia. And then Jesus, they son. So that's the 3 years that the church got to praying to and everybody was confused. But I just put it together so they know. So it's 3. It's Abraxas, it's Sophia, and it's Jesus. That's the Holy Trinity the church talking about. But they ain't gonna give you all the power. But the power is in Abraxas.
And this probably from 200 to 300 time period, this is what they call the bloodstone. But back in these old days, they would use these things for certain things that come into the realm. And we're here at that timeline again. They already admit that so-called electronic blood is inside these supercomputers. Being cuprious oxide gemstone could hold the key to the quantum computers. Miners in these regions often interpret the presence of copper as a sign they were on track to uncovering abundant reserves of copper. Ancient civilizations believe it to be the blood of petrified remains. Giant's blood.
Gigante. This is obviously a creature. That is that tendon. This is the red bloody stuff.
So if you take this here, it's a cult within a cult, they say. St. Andrews University. They just finalized their agreement in 2024 for the massive supercomputer plan. And here's a school. It was founded in 1413. It's the 3rd oldest university, English-speaking one that we have in the world. We're talking thousands and thousands of years old, where they have these secret societies.
Is that the fallen angel's blood? Please don't take me with you ever again. Is this Universal Studios Hollywood?
And now we learn from the Bible how the Most High created using light and dark matter. Hello out there. Today the Most High will be flexing his intellectual muscle by showing you how he created heaven and earth from the top down instead of the bottom up. And this shows how great he is. Now, the Most High does not mind revealing some of the blueprints, but he does not share the location of the building materials because these materials can cause some damage in the earth. Now, the Most High is using light, which is the regular light or the bright light or the heavenly glory light, and he's using dark light. He's using light and dark light to create things. I know it's weird, but this is what's going on when he explains this in the book of Enoch, and this is letting the scientists know that what they are trying to achieve with all of this money and time, he does it effortlessly. And that's why they have to build colliders and all kind of stuff to try to achieve what he does just with his voice. All right, so I'm going to read from 2nd Enoch 25th verse. It says, and I commanded the lowest things, let one of the invisible things descend visibly, and a doyle descended extremely large. And I looked at him, and behold, in his belly he had a great light. And I said to him, disintegrate yourself, Adoyo, and let what is born from you become visible. And he disintegrated himself, and there came out a very great light. And I was in the midst of the great light, and light out of light is carried thus. And the great age came out, and it revealed all the creation which I had thought up to create. And I saw how it was good. Two things. One is the Most High said that he was in the midst of the great light. All right, I was in the midst of the great light. So is he light? So how is he able to be inside the light? Let's see what the Bible says. 1 John 1:5. This is the message we have heard from him and proclaim to you, that God is light, and in him there is no darkness. So the Most High is light. So that's how he's able to be in the midst of this light. The next question is, how did Adoyo end up with the Most High's creation? How did he end up with that? Because it says right here, and Adoyo descended extremely large, and I looked at him, and behold, in his belly he had a great light. And I said to him, disintegrate yourself, Adoyo, and let what is born from you become visible. And he disintegrated himself, and there came out a very great light. And I was in the midst of the light, and the light out of light is carried thus, and the great age came out. So how did this great age come out of this entity? And this great age happened to reveal all the creation which I had thought of. How did Adoyo end up with that information? And let me show you how. The Most High imparted it on him, because with his eyes, it says, my eye looked at the solid and very hard rock, and from the flash of my eye I took the substance of lightning, both fire and water. So the Most High is able to take, down here in this verse, he's taking with his eyes. All right, so up here, the Most High says, and I looked at him. So when he looked at him, he imparted on him the blueprint of all his creation, everything he wanted to reveal in creation and make in creation. He imparted it upon this big entity by looking at it. So this entity has all of the blueprints of the Most High installed in it, and nothing is even created yet, not even the Most High thought, because this is all thought. This is all he's just, it says, which I had thought up to create, and I saw that it was good. And I placed myself a throne. So this is how you know that the creation didn't even pop up yet, because he didn't even have a throne yet. So right here, and I placed for myself a throne. Now he's going by the blueprint to make himself a throne first. Remember I say he's building from the top down instead of the bottom up. And it says, and I sat down on it, and then the light, and then to the light I spoke, you go up higher than the throne and be solidified much higher than the throne and become the foundation for the highest thing. So he's telling the light to go up high. The same light that he uses to create his throne, he's telling it to go up high now. And it says, and there is nothing higher than the light except nothing itself. And again, I bowed myself and I looked upward from my throne. Why is he looking up? Because he's looking at the blueprint. All right, let's move on. So now he's creating the heavenly things with Adoyo. So now he's about to create the earthly things with Arcus. It says, and I called out a second time into the very lowest things, and I said, let one of the invisible things come out visibly solid. And Arcus came out solid and heavy and red. And I said, open yourself up, Arcus, and let what is born from you become visible. And he disintegrated himself, and there came out an age, dark, very large, carried the creation of all lower things, and I saw how it was good. All right. Okay, watch this. And then he says to him, come down low and become solid and become the foundation of the lowest things. All right. So this thing, this entity that he's using to create the lower things is the dark energy. This is the dark light. So this thing became so solid that the Most High used it to hold the whole earth up. So this is the foundation of the earth, because the Most High told this thing to go under so that no one else could access this dark energy. Now, so I want to ask a question. The Most High takes right here in 27 verse and says, and I gave the command, let there be taken some of the light and some of the darkness. And I said, become thickened and be wrapped around with light. And I spread it out and it became water. The question I want to ask, how did some of the light and some of the darkness become water? Now let me show you what's going on here. Now the Most High, let me bring you to this prism right here. All right, this is a doyle, the first entity. All right, I'm just using this as an example because mankind knows about light, but they don't know about the dark light, which is gamma rays, infrared. They know about it, but they don't know how to harness it to actually make something solid. So here it is, the Most High speaking a word, and that word becoming light. And then that light, this light became creation. So everything that ever exists is in this light. Now this is from the beginning now. The beginning of time, everything comes out of this light. I know a lot of people may be saying, well, how can a bird come out there? Like, how can a flower come out there? Like, everything comes out of light. And I'm going to prove it to you. So the question we must raise is it possible to take sound, because it says right here, and I gave the command, that's a sound. Can you take the sound and create the light, both the light and, he's taking dark light and regular light, or the heavenly light, and he's creating mass, which is water. Let me explain that again. Are you able to take sound and create light, and then take the light and create mass? If man can do it, then the Most High can do it, right? Let's see if man did it. Researchers at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California successfully converted sound waves to light radiation by reversing a process that transforms electricity to sound, which is commonly used in cell phones. So man is able to take sound and create light. All right, now let's see if we can take the light and create mass. Okay, here we go. Imperial physicists have discovered how to create matter from light, a feat thought impossible when the idea was first theorized 80 years ago. So I have proven to you that man has taken sound and created light, and took the light to create mass, but they're doing it on a small scale. But now they're trying to do it on a larger scale with all of these colliders and things like that. So I have proven to you that the Most High is doing effortlessly what man is trying to achieve with billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment. And this shows his magnitude, and he's included this in the book of Enoch to let the whole world know that he is the creator of all things, and that mankind is meddling into something that he deems to be child's play. So I'm going to leave it at that. God bless you. Have a great night or day.
Sound or frequency creates light, creates matter.
And, but the moon came up, among other things. And he said, listen, after Swan was sent, we kept sending people to the moon, remote viewers. And we distinctly got the message from these guys on the moon, do not keep sending people here. This is off limits. And we didn't listen to them. And the last viewer that we sent up there, his soul is trapped on the moon. His body is in a coma in a special medical facility run by the CIA. And his family has been given like medical compensation or whatever. They told him, like, they told his family that the guy had died in the line of duty or whatever. And he's been held in stasis for years and years as they wait for his soul to come back from the moon, where apparently there's the capacity to lure and trap somebody's consciousness, which they finally did to one of these CIA remote viewers after repeatedly telling them and not to surveil whatever's going on up there.
Strange. We had a guy on here named David Morehouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a remote viewer, a part of he was a part of these programs for a long time. I think it was in the 70s.
I read his book Psychic Warrior. Early on.
Yeah. And he said that he remote viewed the moon and there was nothing. He's like, it's all bullshit. There's nobody there.
I don't know whether he was being blocked or what, but I can tell you some other things about the moon that are much creepier than a city on the dark side of it.
Well, and here's another thing. If there was a city, why is it only on the dark side?
Well, because that side faces away from us all the time.
So because whoever built it doesn't want us to see it?
Of course. Okay. Of course. That's the convenient place to put it. There's also another reason that's technical, which is that if you put, we've been studying this in terms of potential lunar colonization, that if you put listening telescopes, like the Arecibo dish, stuff that's meant to convey signals across space. If you put it on the side of the moon that faces the Earth, there's too much interference with radio signals coming from the Earth. So if you want to have basically interspace communication from the moon to elsewhere, it's better to put something on the side that always faces away from us, so that you're not bombarded with radio signals that are being transmitted from the Earth.
Right.
That's a technical reason why you would do it. But mainly, I think it's, for concealment purposes. Okay, but the story of what's going on the moon is a lot more. It's a lot more startling than finding a city on the dark side of it, right? Because you could be dealing with a natural satellite that has been colonized at who knows what time by whatever spacefaring civilization. No, it looks like there's a much more disturbing scenario here, and our government became aware of this during Apollo 12 and 13. During Apollo 12, I think it was the lander that impacted the moon in a way that set off a seismometer that had been pre-positioned there. There was a seismograph that was pre-positioned on the moon. And when the Apollo 12 lander hit the surface of the moon, the signal that came from this seismograph was consistent with the ringing or vibration of a hollow object.
Right.
So the way that the shock wave passed through the moon suggested that there was very little inside the moon.
Right.
Okay? It rang like a bell, as they described it.
For a while, right?
In the first case, it was for almost an hour. So then they got curious about this. And in Apollo 13, they deliberately crashed the third stage of Apollo 13 into the surface of the moon to carry out a test to see whether this was a repeatable phenomenon, right? And this time, the seismograph not only confirmed the resonance passing through a hollow object, but the moon rang like a bell for 3 hours. So, and they were able to tell like how much more or less of the moon, is apparently hollow.
Right.
And it's really shocking. It's like the moon goes down for about 20 miles as a solid structure. And then on the inside, there's a distance of about 1,000 miles radially, 1,000 miles from the interior of the shell to the core, radially in every direction. In other words, the distance between Los Angeles and Seattle, or New York and St. Louis, or Paris and Prague, out from the center is hollow inside the moon.
There was a recent NASA article that came out, I think it was on the NASA website, where they said they discovered caves, like underground caverns in the moon, which would suggest that it was like maybe like a honeycomb structure on the inside or something like that.
I suspect that it's not natural caverns, but that what they're seeing are the hollows between all kinds of complex machinery that are inside that structure. One of the other things that they noted with these impact tests was that the moon it seemed to compensate and correct for the impact in a way that suggested there were oscillators inside the structure.
Right.
So I think probably there's machinery inside this thing. Now, another data point that corroborates that, going back to the remote viewers,
sure,
is that Joe McMoneagle was tasked with remote viewing Mars in 1984. And this was a CIA operation run at the Monroe Institute. So it was CIA. He was working on contract for the CIA, and this was done at the Monroe Institute.
He was the first remote viewer, right?
I think he might have been. Well, no, I think Ingo Swann was the first remote viewer.
Okay.
But I think he had the designation 001 or something like that.
Yeah, one. Maybe it was 2. I don't know.
Yeah. But in any case, in 1984, Monroe Institute, and this has since been released. This is one of these classified documents that has since been declassified. It's called like Mars 1 million BC. You can look it up, Joe McMoneagle.
Mars 1 million BC.
Yeah, Joe McMoneagle. And so, look, Joe McMoneagle is tasked to look at... He doesn't know, of course. He's working blind to the target. That's how remote viewing is, right? But what's inside these envelopes are the photographs that the Viking probe took on Mars in 1976, where we got back these images of the pyramids and the fort and the face, infamously, right? So there are all these apparent man-made megalithic structures in the Cydonia region of Mars, which were first photographed by the Viking mission in 1976. And that's what was inside these envelopes when McMoneagle was doing this remote viewing session. And he described being in the midst of the ruins of a megalithic city with gigantic pyramids. He said they seemed like they were maybe 3 times the size of the Great Pyramid in Giza.
Wow.
And he described...
part of the Stargate project.
Yeah, he described a maze of structures under these pyramids, like subterranean tunnels and hallways. At one point, he walks through one of these hallways, and it leads to an opening, and he finds himself on the outside of the pyramid looking up at it, looking up across the face of the pyramid. And he describes also these highways that are trenches. They're these perfectly geometric trenches cut across miles and miles of Mars's surface. And he said his impression was that they were used for a craft. Like, you know, there are bad storms on Mars, right? So if you had hover cars or whatever, you would want them to be transiting through something that had high walls on either side. That was a, sunken channel, basically.
To avoid a sandstorm.
To avoid a sandstorm passing over the top of your head.
Yeah, like some Star Wars
So
shit.
this is basically, he describes this, okay, during his remote viewing session.
Yeah.
But he says, look, the civilization is long dead. I'm seeing, the ruins of a civilization that once was eons before this. And he was tasked at 1 million BC. So they said to him, okay, so go back to when these people were still alive and thriving. And he goes way, way back. Now, we can infer from another data point that I'll come to, how far back he went.
Okay.
But he doesn't say in the session. But he goes back to when these people were around. And then he describes Nordic-looking, super tall people in skin-tight jumpsuits.
People.
They need the moon to make the dream work. And that's a wrap for today, fool. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, don't forget to hit and smash the like button for me. Smash the subscribe button, be part of the family. Remember, stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.